Welcome back to Online Darts. It's the build-up to the William Hill World Darts Championship. Chris, looking forward to the return to the Palace.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're back there for Talk Sport, so we're there from the 17th all the way through until the 3rd, and it's a fascinating time. It's a couple of years ago it was, is Michael going to win it again? Now is, can he get the final, and can he win another title and make it 3? It's strange times.
Come on to that in a minute. We'll talk about Ghazi first of all, the world number 1 and the defending champion. We're starting to see a few frailties in his game. There's defeats creeping in and substandard performances that we haven't seen in a couple of years from him.
Yeah, I think when you look at the performance where he's, he averaged 96 last time out, lost to an 89, but missed a few doubles. Conditions are questionable, that has to be said, because in a previous match he averaged 106. I think that's the only one player to average over 100 on the stage. He knows how to defend a title. He defended the Grand Slam, which was really, really impressive, and there was that question mark of, was it because the fans weren't there and the boos? And of course, as we've seen a matter of weeks ago, he lifted the Grand Slam for a 3rd time, and to win a tournament of that, with that quality of field, that takes some doing. And of course, he's one of the things. He goes in there as defending champion and as world number 1 and as one of the favourites.
Do you see anyone outside the top 4 winning it? And when I mean the top 4, I mean the 4 form players: MVG, Bright, Price and Clayton.
Your usual suspects that's been there or thereabouts. Yeah, I think when you talk of frailties and form, you have to worry about De Souza. After winning that Grand Slam, I thought he was going to kick on. Not quite worked out for him. Is it going to be Michael Smith's year? Is Joe Cullen going to eventually put a run together and get his, just rewards? You've got to think about players like Ryan Searle. Peter Wright's going to be in the mix, but again, when you think of that form he showed winning the World Match Play, it was just blistering. That was as dominant performance as I've seen or as I can remember. It was MVG-esque or Taylor-esque, the way he just literally tore through the field. But I think maybe the tinkering's eventually catching up with him, and he just doesn't look settled. But a lot can change between now and we're only a week or so away, aren't we, from the World Championships starting on the 15th, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I don't think we'll get another Rob Cross. Maybe Rob Cross could win it again. He's showing signs of great form going into the Worlds. It's just a fascinating time to not only be in the business, but as a darts fan as well.
If you're a seed, there's one name that you want to avoid, and that's a certain Fallon Sherrock right now.
Yeah, the way she finds a way to raise her game under the most extreme pressure. You got to remember that playing on the floor you can sort of hide away a little bit. Not so much now, I suppose, with Dart Connect, but it's a totally different environment. But she reminds me very much of how Dimitri was. He could just, as soon as you put him under the lights, he would just find another level. And listen, some people initially it was a one-off, and then it was just because this or just because of that. Well, I'm sorry, but there comes a point where you just got to hold your hands up, and irrelevant of male or female, she is a wonderful dart player. And that performance against Gabriel Clemens, the 1-4, I know the 170 was unbelievable, but that 1-4-1 and then backing up with the 170, we'll be talking about that in 20 odd years time. Like I say, irrelevant male or female, that was just wonderful clutch darts under the most extreme pressure because it had to go.
Was the right performance as well, the final tick in the box? Everyone says she's done it over a short format. She can't do it over a long one. She's averaged near on a ton over 30 legs. Yeah. That's world-class arrows.
Yeah. Listen, she's doing things on the dartboard that I didn't do. Of course the boards are slightly different, but even still, I don't care. Well, even in the final of the Nordic Masters, she pushed Michael all the way. Her form just dipped towards the end, and he had a spurt, and that was the only difference. And you're talking about one of the best in the world, and the points she had him all over the place. You just don't want to be playing her. You can ask any of the top seeds, and they certainly won't want her in there. And if she can get a nice draw, there's potential where she'll earn her tour card by right and ranking, and that would be been an incredible achievement, and I think she got to make the third round.
Just debate around this. 2 wins might do it, 3 100%. It's one of those ones where 2 might be enough.
And what we've seen in the last 12, 18 months, it's well within her capabilities, and I'm really pleased for her because, you know, she did that incredible thing at the Worlds, beating Ted Evitts and then Menser, and then of course COVID hit, and all those opportunities. You know, she's had a tough old life, you know, for a young girl, and all those opportunities are life changing for her in terms of her, you know, financially secure in her future. And rather than, you know, most players might have, you know, bottom lip job and got the ump with it all. No, she just goes away and reinvents herself, and you wouldn't have thought her stock could have risen any higher. And now, you know, where, you know, like we say, she doesn't seem to have a ceiling.
It's that time where we have to mention the PL word because it's on everyone's lips.
Yeah, I think the players around her who if they put her in commercially, it's a no-brainer. You've got to remember the PDC is a commercial business with shareholders. They are about making money and giving players opportunities to make money, and it's run as a business. So, you know, I can understand some players would be disappointed because someone's going to lose out to her position. But commercially, it's a no-brainer. And what the players have also got to remember is the Premier League holds up the Pro Tour. You know, there's no entry fees, but there's still £10,000 for the winner every day. Well, that doesn't sort of, you know, Barry and Matt don't sort of pluck that out of the air and go, there you go. The money generated from that Premier League holds up a lot for the rest of the players to compete on the tour.
Would you have her in then?
Yeah. Commercially, it's an absolute no-brainer. And, you know, ultimately, it's Sky's decision. You know, they pump an absolute fortune into the sport, and if they want her in, she goes in. Simple as that.
I don't think there's many places up for grabs, if I'm being honest. I think we can name probably 9 stroke in and around there. Mm-hmm. The one I'm interested in your thoughts, has Gary Anderson done enough right now, or is he living off the name and reputation right now?
Well, his ranking suggests he's, you know, there or thereabouts. You know, he's still in the top 10.
I know rankings, but we all know they're kind of a lie a little bit. But again, has he done enough this year?
But again, we got to go commercially, and he's a huge name, and he's a very, very popular player. You know, and you'd have to ask Gary: does he want to do it? Does he want to trek up and down the country, or would he rather sort of go, do you know what? I think I'm just going to get my head down and try and do well in these tournaments to get my ranking and start winning more titles, because, you know, there's still more titles in him, in my opinion.
Michael Van Gerwen caused a bit of a storm on Twitter as well by putting a picture of the practice boards up, and he wasn't suggesting this was the manufacturer's fault. He wants certain points banned. Are you within that? Are we seeing points doing too much destruction to boards and where it puts?
Why are they using them type of points? That's the big question. Why is a lot of players now having to use these really, really aggressive boards, the points that are just tearing the boards to bits? It's one of those, isn't it? It's a catch-22. If the players didn't feel they'd need to use those aggressive points, they wouldn't be using them.
Yeah, I can believe it. It's just he's the first one to massively speak out, and the most high profile one.
Yeah, exactly. And we need Michael to speak up, because he has the most clout, and you know, a lot of players won't say anything because they don't want to rattle cages. And of course, you've got to remember, the players sign these contracts which do slightly affect their ability to talk out about things, you know, because they're in fear of being fined. And fair play to Michael, he's basically saying that it's not good enough. But you know, like I said, maybe we went through that period where they were having a nightmare with the boards. The manufacturers were having a nightmare with the quality of sisal, and you know, there was a time where they just wouldn't hold it right. They were too hard, then they were too soft. You know, so listen, don't think Unicorn behind the scenes aren't absolutely doing their brains trying to make them perfect, because it's in their interest. You know, it's the first thing you see is the dartboard. You know, and if there's problems with it, it gets highlighted, especially when we've seen it happen at real key moments. Darts coming out of the ball in the World Cup, you know, is one of the biggest examples. But you know, that can happen on any board. You can get an hard spot on any board. But ultimately, I think it's one of those. They need to look at why are the points being used, address that, and then maybe the players, some players who actually finger the point, they need a grip on it because for them it's part of the dart.
The grip there doesn't damage the board though. It's the ones that have got all the on the they're super aggressive in there. But basically, what's happening? They're going into the board and they're pulling, tearing the size out, and it doesn't matter what board you use, it's still going to do that. The only difference is on the windmill board, especially the new one, they really dye it with some depth. So even if it does tear the board up, you can't see it. Colour's still there.
The black or the red or the green, it's so deep into the board that you're not seeing the white fibres, which obviously they show up like
black when it catches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got the black face of the board, and then the white bits coming through. It looks terrible. So yeah, it's an awkward one. It must be a nightmare. It must be a nightmare for everybody involved for varying reasons. That one, the players sometimes think they have to throw their darts too hard or use those super aggressive points.
World Seniors, the qualifier wasn't to be for you.
No, but
however, we saw some magic in that right hand still, and what a fabulous tournament as well it was.
Yeah, I absolutely, I loved it. It was nice just to get a run out and play some darts because I've not played for a long time. Preparation going into it, and it's something I can't moan about. I can't moan about being busy. Yeah. I'm very, very fortunate. I get lots of work, and it just the way it dropped. I did 24 consecutive days, as you know, mixing between live league and ITV. So although I did try and grab half hour here, an hour there, it wasn't ideal. On the Friday, I felt very comfortable. I had one average of just over a ton, and I had one around about 102, 103, something like that. So, obviously I can still play. And on the Saturday, I ran into Brian Dawson, who's still a quality player, an active player as well, and he was just too good. And then I played Mase, who I've known for years. On the Sunday, he lost in the final on the Saturday, so he was buzzing, and he took care of me quite comfortably. So all is not lost. It gave me a little sample, and the first thing I did when I got home was went up into the loft, blew the dust off the dartboard, got that down, bought myself one of them new Target lights around things, put an hockey down, and at home now, when I've sort of got an hour in between doing things, I'm just jumping on the board, and I'm already seeing little increments of improvement. So lots going to be happening. Hopefully they'll announce that there's going to be, I don't know, maybe a tournament once a month or every 6 weeks. They've announced that there's going to be a new tournament, the Masters at Lakeside, and I think there's going to be 2 qualifying spots for that.
So yeah.
Which is going to be tough again. I mean, just because these lads are 50 and over, they've still got plenty of ambition. There's still some quality about it, and it's tough. But I didn't see anything that made me feel that I couldn't be competitive, and it's just down to me whether I want to put in those hours and hours of practice. But so far, it gave me the ump enough to come home and put a board back up, because I haven't had a board up for nearly 2 years. And I thoroughly enjoyed being around some great old friends. Clarkey and Monkey and Jenks were there. Some real
old days, isn't it?
Yeah, some real old friends that I haven't seen for years and years and years. And it was a really well-run tournament. Interesting using the new Target board, which I'm going to have to buy, because if I'm going to be playing on them competitive, I need to have one at home, and they are slightly different. They're a totally different looking board. The small numbers, they're nice, lovely and bright, vibrant, but a little bit different. So I might have to change my equipment slightly to suit that type of board. But now that I'm not so hung up on using, I got to use this or I got to use that, I'm a bit like Peter Wright, really. I'll try anything to see if it works. If it works, it works. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward, because there was nothing else for us to play in.
I said I haven't seen a buzz on social media on this for a while. It was literally all weekend was all about the seniors.
And the players were like that as well. Yeah. The players were absolutely hyped for it, and you could see them. And it gives you listen, we're all smart enough to know that we can compete on the circuit, because it'd be just too draining and probably not good enough. But why, if you reach a certain time in your career, it shouldn't be the fact that there's nothing for us. In every other sport, whether it be golf now and snooker, of course, by the same person, Jason Francis, you've got a seniors tour, you've got it in tennis, you've even got it in motorsport, haven't you? So I think I can't wait for the Worlds. I'll be going as a fan, and of course to show my support to it. And it's just an exciting time.
Last one from me. WDF Lakeside is on the horizon.
Yep.
Slightly concerned and disappointed with the ticket sales so far?
I do have a theory behind it, and the draw. I think the draw's not been done yet, and the final lineup is not complete. And Lakeside was very much one of those. You had your fans that would go all the time, but a lot of the time it was when you knew a certain player was on, or your friends, or your family, and your supporters. You know, once that's done, once the schedule's released, I expect to see a much bigger uptake on tickets. They're just starting their social media push, their marketing. The emails are going out to people that have bought tickets before. You know, it's. I understand the people who are concerned about the tickets, but you know, ultimately, it's all about rebranding, getting the event on, getting it out there, getting people. You know, we went through such a period when it was under the BDO banner of uncertainty, and you know, in that industry. You know, you've got to have a belief that the event's going to happen, or it's going to, you know, is it going to happen, isn't going to happen? But now we know it's going to happen. And I think there would be a much bigger uptake in tickets. It's going to struggle because of where it's landed on the calendar, and it's going up against the PDC Worlds for the first 3 days, which is awkward, not ideal. But I think it's a slightly different demographic of fans that would go to the PDC Worlds that would maybe go to Lakeside. But I'm not sure if I'm working on it at the moment. I'm still going through some negotiations. Of course, my priority lies with TalkSport and covering the PDC Worlds, which I will be doing until the final. Well, I'll be doing the final, so I'm available to go and do some bits on it from the 4th onwards. And yeah, listen, it will always have my support. It's great that players who maybe not be ready for the PDC, or it's just something they don't fancy, they've got something else, you know. And the event's on, the prize money's guaranteed. It's a great old venue, you know, with loads of history. And if you know, again, if I'm not on it, I just wish them all the best.
Was it a double kick in the teeth though when the Q School dates were announced, and the first day of Q School is on the final of the WDF?
Yeah.
It's now 4 days of their event, and it's huge, that Q School one, because you're in a predicament then. If you've got ambitions to go and get on that tour,
yeah,
you do, because that day could be crucial in terms of your points.
Yeah, well, I think in future the winner of the WDF, I think would be smart then to have the opportunity to be given a tour card, or that offer of a tour card, and that because it's only going to affect 2 players on that final day. There's only 2 players in the final. If you win it, you get your tour card.
Maybe 4.
Or yeah,
with the ladies as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So say next year the finals from Fallon and Lisa, and they haven't got cards, that could then affect.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's imperative that that they try and work side by side. That friction's gone now. You know, now that the BDO is no more. And they need to work side by side. There needs to be that incentive that if a player, the female or the male winner may choose they want to defend their title and don't feel ready for a tour card. Fine, that's it. But that should be that golden egg at the end of it, and it would give the event way more credibility. You know, the WDF now understand it's not. You know, it's no longer called the World Professional Darts Championships. You know, and I talk a lot to Little Richard. He gets it. He gets it, and he knows where this event sits in the grand scheme of things. But hopefully that the communication is still there. I know Matt was fully supportive of it, and if you know anything about darts, you know how important that to have opportunities in other avenues.
Nice, absolute pleasure, and we'll see you for 16 days in the Big Brother house very, very soon.
Can't wait, mate.